He was clearly a genius architect, yet he accidentally became an emperor, and from then on began a life full of absurd twists and ironic laughter. His fame in Chinese history does not come from governing the country with excellence, but because after taking the throne, he treated being an emperor as a side job and poured all his passion into carpentry, making furniture, repairing palaces, and even busying himself with marrying wet nurses. He is Emperor Zhu Youxiao, a carpentry prodigy who, in pursuit of love and dreams, gradually led the empire toward the abyss. Hi everyone, this is A Different Story. I'm Jason. Today, we're going to talk about the story of Zhu Youxiao, the Carpenter Emperor. Zhu Youxiao was the 15th emperor of the Ming Dynasty. I've already talked about several Ming emperors before, and honestly, every Ming emperor was a character. Each of them had strange quirks and plenty of stories worth telling. Zhu Youxiao is especially famous in Chinese history as the Carpenter Emperor. Historical records say his woodworking skills were even better than those of professional master carpenters of his time. He was absolutely a naturally gifted craftsman. Emperors of both the Ming and Qing dynasties lived in the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City is enormous, about the size of 101 football fields, so its buildings required a huge number of craftsmen for constant maintenance and repairs. Because Zhu Youxiao's mother was a palace maid, his status in the imperial household was low. During his childhood, he was not favored, so he often spent his time playing with the carpenters in charge of repairing buildings inside the Forbidden City. Gradually, he fell in love with woodworking. He would secretly collect discarded wood and simple tools and try making small objects himself. At first, he might have only produced simple wooden boxes or spoons, but he never got tired of it. Every time he finished a piece, he would be excited for a long time. Besides playing with carpenters, the person who accompanied Zhu Youxiao the most was his wet nurse, Lady K, who was 18 years older than him. Not long after Lady K entered the palace, her husband passed away, so she remained in the palace to take care of Zhu Youxiao. Perhaps because she accompanied him through those lonely and bitter years, Zhu Youxiao's feelings for her gradually changed. At age 16, his grandfather, the emperor, passed away. His father then took the throne, but just 1 month later, his father died after taking poisonous alchemical pills. I will make a separate video explaining this later. And so, Zhu Youxiao was suddenly pushed onto the throne. The first thing he did after becoming emperor was to marry his wet nurse. Yes, you heard that right. Just like Emperor Zhu Zhanshen, whom I mentioned in a previous video, Zhu Youxiao also fell in love with his wet nurse because of his childhood experiences. Zhu Youxiao wanted to make Lady K his empress, but the ministers strongly opposed it. They believed Lady K was merely a servant with low status, and letting someone like her become empress would violate the rules of the imperial court. Moreover, Lady K was 18 years older than Zhu Youxiao and had been his wet nurse. His intention was simply unacceptable. Facing overwhelming opposition, Zhu Youxiao had no choice but to compromise. In the end, he granted Lady K the title of Lady Feng Shen, a noble rank, but in practice, he treated her like an empress. Because he had not been favored in his youth, Zhu Youxiao never received a proper education. As a result, he had little interest in governing the country. Instead, he became increasingly obsessed with woodworking. According to historical records, Zhu Youxiao set up 3 carpentry workshops inside the Forbidden City and had high-quality timber transported from the south. He worked around the clock. When he was excited, he would take off his clothes and work bare-chested. The more he worked, the more he enjoyed it. He often forgot to eat, and even in winter, he would be sweating. This is one of his carvings, exquisitely crafted and incredibly detailed. It is the only piece we can conclusively confirm was carved by him. As for the other legendary works attributed to him, none of them can be fully verified to this day. In 1625, a sudden fire severely damaged the 3 main halls of the Forbidden City: the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the Hall of Central Harmony, and the Hall of Preserving Harmony. Faced with the reconstruction of these 3 great halls, Zhu Youxiao showed extraordinary enthusiasm and professional competence. He personally participated in every part of the project. He discussed technical difficulties with the craftsmen, studied construction plans with them, and behaved not like an emperor, but like a true artisan. In terms of design, Zhu Youxiao displayed remarkable talent. He conducted in-depth research on traditional architectural structures and styles, and proposed many unique insights and innovative design ideas. The design drawings he made himself not only included detailed measurements and the precise placement of every architectural component, but also reflected his own understanding and pursuit of architectural aesthetics. He redesigned the traditional structural load-bearing components, making the buildings even more stable. Even veteran craftsmen with 30 years of experience were amazed by his level of expertise. After this reconstruction, the three great halls withstood 5 major earthquakes during the Ming and Qing dynasties, yet remained standing. This was undoubtedly the best proof of Zhu Youxiao's natural talent in woodworking. Ancient Chinese wooden architecture had extremely strong earthquake resistance. For example, during the 2008 Wenchuan earthquake, a magnitude 8.0 quake, many modern buildings collapsed, but many ancient wooden structures survived unharmed. I will make a separate video explaining this later. Besides rebuilding the Great Halls, Zhu Youxiao even modified everyday household items himself. At that time, palace wooden beds were large and heavy. It took 8 eunuchs to move one. He couldn't stand it and decided to design a lightweight and practical new bed. After spending a full year working on it, he created a foldable bed frame that was not only sturdy, but also easy to store and convenient to carry when traveling. Later, the bed was secretly taken out and sold by a eunuch. On the same day, a wealthy merchant bought it for 120 taels of silver. To put that into perspective, at that time, buying a servant only cost 1 tael of silver, so you can imagine how valuable that bed was. Zhu Youxiao also set a rule. When he was doing woodworking, no one was allowed to interrupt him. Only his personal eunuchs were permitted to enter and report matters. He truly loved woodworking, but this rule gave the eunuch Wei Chongzhan an opportunity to seize power. Wei Chongzhan and Lady K worked together, deliberately choosing the moments when the emperor was most absorbed in his work to come in and report state affairs. Without even lifting his head, the emperor would say, "I'm busy with important matters. Handle it yourselves." In this way, the governance of the empire gradually fell into Wei Chongzhan's hands, and the nation spiraled into chaos. In ancient times, officials addressed the emperor as 10,000-year lord, wishing him longevity and prosperity. Yet Wei Chongzhan was actually called the 9,000-year lord, placing him almost on equal plane with the emperor. From that moment on, the seeds of the Ming Dynasty's downfall were officially planted. In May 1625, Zhu Youxiao fell into the water while boating for fun. Although he was rescued, he developed lasting health problems. While ill, he drank a special beverage which caused severe edema throughout his body and left him bedridden. On August 22nd of the same year, he passed away at the age of just 23. Because Kay feared that if other consorts gave birth to children, her status would be threatened, all of Zhu Youxiao's children were killed under her persecution. As a result, he left no heirs, and the empire had to be passed on to his younger brother, the last emperor of the Ming Dynasty. I will tell his story in a future video. According to historical records, Zhu Youxiao left behind around 200 woodworking creations, including wood carvings, folding beds, architectural models, water-spraying devices, and more. Today, the only confirmed surviving piece is the Yuhua Long and Duryu, now housed in the Palace Museum in Beijing. Some say that Zhu Youxiao had not been an emperor but an ordinary craftsman. He would certainly have become a grand master. His focus, creativity, and innate talent were all at the highest level. But unfortunately, history never talks in terms of what if. He was forced to sit on the dragon throne, using tools to escape politics, using wood to fight fate. Those exquisite works are not only artistic treasures, but also evidence of his loneliness and helplessness. Zhu Youxiao was not the only genius ruined by the throne. Chinese history has 2 other top-tier artist emperors, If they lived today, one could win a Nobel Prize in literature, and the other would be a painter no less than Van Gogh or Picasso. Their stories are even more fascinating. If you're interested, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. See you in the next video.